रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्ग्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः। पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपन व्यपगत प्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीं पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम्। नमस्सदसे नमस्सभायै. With the abundant blessings of Paramatma Shriyapati, it is indeed my bhagyam to be in Bhagyanagara. I've been plenty of times to the other part of your city called Secunderabad in Maratpalli, organized by a veteran called Sridhar Subhashri. Through his festivals, I've spoken multiple times, at least put together 30 to 32 lectures I would have presented together in the last 10 years in Secunderabad in Tamil. So, time and again, a lot of the Telugu-speaking Astikas do ask as to why don't you speak in Telugu. So, I said, give me some time to develop some basic level of proficiency in Telugu. So, until then, I thought the Angla Bhasha will be the beautiful connection with people speaking multiple languages. So, the topic chosen for the day is Draupadi. So, Draupadi comes as a very strong character in Sri Mahabharatam. Generally, whenever we take up an itihasa, a kavya of such immense importance, we attach a certain relationship to the characters. So, there will be a male protagonist, there will be a female. So, the Nayaka and the Nayaki will have a pati-patni sambandham. Let us take Srimad Ramayanam. It will be about Rama and Sita. The sambandham is that of pati and patni. Let us take Sri Harsha's Mahakavyam called Naishadham. It will be Nala and Damayanti, pati patni. Let's take up even Bhagavatam for that matter, Dashamaskandam. We have Rukmini coming as the Patni of Krishna. So there is a relationship of Pati and Patni between Rukmini and Krishna. But when we take up Mahabharatam as a whole, the Nayaka, the hero, if I may be allowed to use the word, is Krishna, undoubtedly. The heroine, the one who is the lead female, the way we say it today, is undoubtedly Draupadi. And the relationship is not that of Pati and Patni, but of the best of friends. Yatra Krishnauscha Krishnascha Satyabhamacha Bhamini, says Vyasacharya in Udyoga Parva. So there is a wonderful relationship that is being enjoyed by Krishna with Krishna. I've told this in multiple discourses of mine, both in Hyderabad and while speaking in Tamil, and very many lectures. So we have to be extremely careful. When I say Krishna, it is Draupadi. Krishna, it is Krishna. Because in the colloquial way, Krishna is how we say Krishna is. Then what will we do for Draupadi? We can't keep on adding A's. It's no namology, right? So, it is Krishna whenever it is the name invoked is that of Krishna, it is Draupadi. It is Krishna, it is Krishna. Yatra Krishnauscha Krishnascha Satyabhamacha Bhamini, says Vyasacharya. So that is a greatness that is attached to this one great character called Draupadi, because she takes the lead role in Mahabharatam. Now, before discussing Draupadi, her features, her nature, her demeanor, it is pertinent upon us to understand the circumstances in Sri Mahabharatam that led to her birth. So, in Tamil, I'm sure they, along with Telugu speaking Astikas here, there will be some Tamil speaking Astikas as well. Telugu bhashalo Tamil ante Aravadu anta cheptaru kada. In the South Indian language Tamil, it is called Amuda Mozhi. Elaga Telugu Teta, Kasturi Kannada anta heluttivo, aa reethiyalli it is called Tamil Amudu. It's a very sweet language. Any language is sweet if we speak the sweet form of it. So in Tamil, there is a colloquial saying, Adiyat Todada Bharada Batta, which means literally, Mahabharatam is not something that you begin from point A to point E. It doesn't go in a linear fashion. It is cyclic in nature. It is slightly meshy in the way it is being presented, because there are so many of characters. See, if I have to describe Mahabharatam, I will put it this way. It has 1,25,000 shlokas as per one count. Of course, counts vary as per the recensions that we have received. It is called Sapada Laksha Grantham, close to 1,25,000 verses, inclusive of Harivamsham. It's a Mammoth Shastram. And of course, research scholars say that it is 2.5 times the size of Iliad and Odyssey put together, along with Paradise Lost. So it is such a big Grantham. 1,25,000 verses and easily 1,600 characters. Imagine you'll have to remember what happened to the characters is problem 2. Problem 1 is remembering those character names. See, generally when we have to remember character names and we can't, we assign some arbit letters of the English alphabet. We say person A. That's how maths solutions are. Person A told person B. But in Mahabharatam, we have only 26 letters of the English alphabet and we have 1,600 characters. So we may have to introduce a 5 alphanumeric key, 5-digit alphanumeric key with a special character, giving one ID number to everyone. So literally remembering Mahabharatam in its true core is a challenge. So why did I mention this challenge? Is because the topic is Draupadi. I have to begin somewhere. Where do I begin? There was a rishi called Gautama. This Gautama is different from the Gautama we see in Ramayanam. See, many names we will come across time and again, and we shouldn't assume they all lived through all those ages. There will be many people with the same name. Agastya itself, scholars say there were many Agasthyas. But that name would be assigned based on the characteristics of the first Agastya. The first Agastya was short people with that effulgence and radiance and with that knowledge will be given the name Agastya. So the naming process would be akin to the characteristics that they own, no doubt. But there will be multitude people. So we can easily say this is Gautama 5.0 or 6.0. This Gautama, with a relationship with an Apsara Stree called Janapadi, produced 2 children. One was a daughter, one was a son. They were twins. The name given to the son was Kripa. To make familial matters easier, the girl was called Kripi. So it was easy, Kripa and Kripi. Now there was a rishi on the other hand called Bharadwaja Maharishi. This Bharadwaja Maharishi, through an Apsara Stree called Ghritachi, produced a child. Now this production of this child is very interesting. It's my humble opinion, in Twitter's language, IMHO, that we need to understand Sanatana Dharma in a very integrated approach. All this long, with no offense meant to any scholar, we have seen religion as religion, history as history, inscriptions as inscriptions. But the sad thing is, I'm sure Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in itself is such a very strong brand name, having produced such great students through its schools, just not in Hyderabad, in other cities. In school education, religion doesn't play a major role, history plays a major role. Now imagine the output of a child who has been taught all along a certain history, and when he comes home, you say, no, concentrate on the religion that I tell you. So there has been no marrying of the religion and history. It has to marry somewhere. That will give a very wholesome knowledge to any student who's reading in any school. Like how rivers meet. సంస్కృత భాషలో ఒక సంగమం అవుతుందంటే అదికి పేరు ప్రయాగం. సో వీ హ్యావ్ ప్రయాగ్రాజ్ వేర్ గంగా అండ్ యమున కమ్ టుగెదర్. సిమిలర్లీ మీరు ఉత్తరాఖండ్ వెళ్తున్నారంటే అక్కడ అలకనంద భాగీరథి సంగమం అవుతుంది. ఆ పుణ్యక్షేత్రం దేవప్రయాగ్. ఆ రీతిగా మీరు బద్రీనాథ్ వెళ్తున్నారంటే యూ గెట్ 6 ప్రయాగ్స్, రుద్రప్రయాగ్, కర్ణప్రయాగ్, నందప్రయాగ్. ప్రయాగ్ ఇస్ వేర్ rivers meet. Similarly, knowledge streams should meet. They cannot stay in silos. How do we marry religion and architecture and history? I'll give you one typical example. You can take notes, you're free to audio record. There's no copyright on my lecture at all. Feel free. And there is a recording as such happening. You don't have to worry about your hand. How long will you keep holding? Because I don't take a break in my 2 hours lecture at all. There's no sabbatical. So I keep on going without a drop of water that I have to drink. So you feel free to audio record, and you can always send it to your children. I want the content to reach to as many people as possible. So when we look at architecture, please do understand that there's a way of looking at it. I'll just take a few minutes on this. Ganga and Yamuna is very important for us. Gangescha Yamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri. Ganga is very important. Gangotpatti is mentioned in Srimad Ramayanam. Yamuna's importance comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna Avataram is all along Yamuna, and Rama Avataram Ganga is spoken about. So in a temple, typically the builders and the sculptors and the Agama Shastram wanted to say that the kshetram that you enter is very, very sacrosanct. It's very pure. How do they say? They have to say Ganga and Yamuna flows in the temple. What should they do? Now they have to get gallons of Yamuna and Ganga to that temple. That's not possible. Kejriwal is not going to allow, because as such there is no Yamuna in Delhi itself. So where will you get Yamuna and Ganga? So that is where architecture says there is a way of bringing it. There will be a beautiful lady with the curves, and then she'll be carrying a beautiful pot, presumably filled with water. How do we know who this is? Below her, if you see a crocodile, that architectural depiction is Ganga. If you see a tortoise below, it is Yamuna, because Yamuna moves slowly. Ganga is fast. So this is how they depict in iconography. So if you go to a temple, typically see these two women, you'll be wondering, who are these two women? You may think they are just an orbit women standing with pots of water. One is Ganga, one is Yamuna. So architecture had its own form of saying. For example, in Sri Suktam, we say Sri Suktam is the Khilabhagam of Rigvedam. Alakshmir me nashyatam tvam vrine aditya varne tapaso dijato vanaspatistava vrikshoda bilvaha tasya phalani tapasan udantu mayan tarayascha bahya alakshmihi. Bahya alakshmi. Alakshmi has to be driven. So we know Lakshmi. I'm from Bangalore. ನೀವು ಖಂಡಿತ ಹಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಅತ್ತಿತ್ತಗಳದ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮನೆಯೊಳು ನಿತ್ಯ ಮಹೋತ್ಸವ ನಿತ್ಯ ಸುಮಂಗಲ ಸತ್ಯವ ತೋರುವ ಸಾಧು ಸಜ್ಜನರ ಚಿತ್ತತಿ ಹೊಲೆಯುವ ಪುತ್ತಳಿ ಬೊಮ್ಮೆ ಭಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ಬಾರಮ್ಮ. So we invite Lakshmi home. We want our stock prices to rise. We are quite bullish about the market. We want everything to go northwards. Fine, Lakshmi has to come. But Lakshmi and Alakshmi can't coexist. So when Lakshmi comes, Alakshmi has to go. So when you enter a temple, probably you are in destitution, you are in poverty, you have financial crisis, you want to take the blessings of Bhagavan and say, let Alakshmi go. So Alakshmi has to stay back in the temple and you have to take Lakshmi home. So how do you show that Alakshmi has stayed back? So in the Pallava, Chola, Pandya architecture, if you go to a temple, you will find a lady who has extended both her legs, slightly stout, and she'll be putting her hands like this. There will be a broomstick and a crow behind her. That is Alakshmi. So architecture in itself is a separate science. So if you happen to go to this beautiful temple called Vaikuntha Perumal temple in Kanchipuram. Kanchipuram, every other building is a temple. So in between those temples, there will be a sure Kanchipuram, Dharasuram, Tribhuvanam shop. So if you go to Kanchipuram, there are two major temples maintained by the ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India. One is called Vaikuntha Perumal Temple. This finds its earliest mention in the 8th century work called Periya Tirumozhi by Thirumangai. So he calls this Paramechura Vinnagaram Aduve in Tamil. If you go to this temple, please have a darshan. It's a beautiful temple. I keep promoting our own domestic tourism. But domestic tourism should not be at the cost of disinformation or misinformation. When we go to a temple, we should be completely abreast of its knowledge. When you enter the temple is a Pallava style architecture of roughly the 7th, 8th century, built by the Pallava king. It is a temple dedicated to Narayana. It is called Parameshwara Vinnagaram, today known as Vaikuntha Perumal temple. The Garbhagriham is a multi-tiered Garbhagriham. It is called Ashtanga Vimanam. So you will have the lower level, first floor, second floor. And you will have thin steps that will at least motivate us to lose weight. Thin pathways leading us to the first and the second floor. Built in granite, remember, that point in time there was no Birla, Ambuja. Well, how will you cement them? They were all jigsaw puzzles. So they have to be constructed in such a way that they don't fall apart after even 1300 years of their building. So you will see three positions of Bhagavan. Here he's seated, he's sleeping, and he's standing. Nindran, Irundan, Kedandan. We call these postures. Fine, done. This is an Ashtanga Vimana temple. This is a temple dedicated to Narayana. It is facing west because most temples faced either east or north. This faces west. So Prang Mukha temple, west facing, Ashtanga Vimana, Narayana temple in India, only temple is that temple. Ashtanga Vimana, Narayana temple, west facing, outside India is one temple called Angkor Wat. So the largest non-functioning temple built in the 12th century during the Khmer dynasty by Suryavarman II is called as Paramavishnu Loka. It has been detailed as Paramavishnu Loka. Over the Cambodian language, we call it Angkor Wat today. That is a Ashtanga Vimana, west-facing Narayana temple built then. Now when you go to this Kanchipuram temple, after having the darshan of Bhagavan, do a Pradakshina. Dakshina is right. తెలుగు భాషలో ఏం చెప్తున్నారు? రైట్ సైడ్కి ఏమి? కుడి. కుడి కుడి అంటే రైట్ కదా. సంస్కృత భాషలో రైట్ అంటే దక్షిణం, లెఫ్ట్ అంటే వామం. మీరు గుడి కదా, గుడి వెళ్తున్నారంటే when you have a darshan, you keep your right facing Bhagavan. So it is called pradakshinam. Your dakshina faces Bhagavan, right? So pradakshinam. When you do a pradakshinam of the temple, of the Garbhagriham, see the walls. Whenever you go to a temple, that to a temple of the great past, keep your eyes and minds open. It should not be about, prasadam elagundi, prasadam. Always our concentration, when is that Tadirisam coming? When is that Kaja coming? No. Prasadam is Bhagavan there. He is the prasadam for us. He is our bhogya vastu. If at all you get laddu, fine. Some people go to Tirupati, they say, take this chit, you'll get 3 laddus. What you have seen in front of you is an imperishable laddu called Narayana. What more do we need? What if we don't get one laddu? What if we don't get that one vada? It's okay. Leave it. Anyways, where HbA1c is 8.7. So, it will only rise. So, we have a non-diabetic causing laddu in front of us called Narayana. So, my point is, relish the temple more rather than getting into mundane things. You got prasadam, you got mala, he didn't get mala, so what? Such fights happen. I feel at times, we have to forcefully mature ourselves. If it doesn't happen naturally through genes, we will have to coax ourselves to get mature. Even if our fixed deposits don't, at least we should. So when you do Pradakshinam in the temple, you'll see stone panels built by the Pallava kings. And in those days, we had very knowledgeable administrators. India did have them at one point in time. So when you do Pradakshinam, you will see stone panels depicting the entire dynasty of the Pallavas. There is another Shabdam called Pahlavas. See, in Ramayanam, in Balakandam, you will come across Pallavas. That Pallava Shabdam occurs when Vasishtha calls an army to fight Kaushika. They are called Pallavas. Pallavas are Persians, Iranians. They were called Pahlavas. These are Pallavas. There is no H. So the depiction on the wall is 7th, 8th century panel is, there is a rishi, there will be a child. Next to the child will be a cup, a jar. Next panel you will see a child. Next to the child will be a horse. What is that the king wants to say? This child next to whom that pot is, the jar is Drona. Because Dronam in Sanskritam means measuring vessel. When you cook rice, you take one cup and measure. Tamil la sollumbodu kaapdi solluva. Ara kaapdi, mul kaapdi. Adha edutittu we measure. How do you measure rice? So now you get this disposable cups and all of that. There is a typical brass measuring vessel. It's called Dronam. So they depict a child next to it, which means this child was born in a slightly less natural way, unnatural way. I'm not trying to force science, but today we call it in a different way called IVF, which is in vitro, where the fertilization of the ovum through the sperm happens outside the body. And if the fertilization is successful, then it is implanted to the mother's body. So this in vitro happens through a dish called the Petri dish. That's how we call it in science. I'm sure there are practitioners, medical practitioners, who will be able to delineate it and elucidate it in a very comprehensible fashion. So it's called a dish. It's a vessel. This vessel is called Dronam, which means his birth was not the natural way. Like Agastya. Agastya was born of Kumbham. Pura Kumbha Sambhava Munivara Prapujitam Trikona Madhyagatam Murari Pramukha Dyupasitam Mooladhara Kshetra Sthitam Paradi Chatvari Vaga Maka Pranava Swarupa Vakratundam Nirantaram Nitila Chandra Kandam Nijavamakara Vidrudekshudandam Karambuja Pashabija Puram Kalusha Viduram Bhutakaram Haradi Guru Guhatoshita Bimbam Hamsadhvani Bhushita Herambam Vata Piganapatim Pura. Long ago, Kumbha Sambhava Muni. Muni ante Muni. Mananashiladu Munidu. That's how we say, right? One who keeps thinking is Muni. Kumbha Sambhava Muni, the one who was born of a pot. One born of a Drona was called Drona. See, technically, when, I'm sure the elderly people will know, when vegetables were sold by vendors on the streets, they will keep repeating, Vankaya, 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 they'll keep shouting. We don't know that man. What will we call him? Vankaya. Because what he carries becomes his name. He was born of Drona, so his name is Drona. Yeah. So, Drona was the name given to him. That is why in the temple they show the child and the Drona. So, Drona was born of the pot. So now I'll give you this clue. Pot, Drona, so Drona. Next panel, child and horse. So Ashwathama. Next comes another child in the next panel with a creeper. He was the descendant of Ashwathama, the first Pallava. So Pallavas were descendants of Drona and Ashwathama. So if you go to that temple, you'll see that. Cholas were descendants of Rama. Every stone inscription, the Chola will say, I am from Rama Parampara. He'll say Raghuvamsham. Whether the political people in Tamil Nadu agree or not, they were proud kings. They said, we are descendants of Rama. Tamilan Kattinan, Kovilai. Kovilai is Kattina. Raman Vadivanda, Shoran Kattinan. Now, incidentally, this week they have turned very devotional in Tamil Nadu. Every weather they change. Now, so this Drona, come back. You have to come. I told you, Upanyasam is not a linear thing. Every now and then I will take a detour for metro construction and come back. So, Bharadwaja and Ghritachi had a son called Drona. Drona learned the Shastras under his father. He had a learned father, incidentally. So, he learned the Shastras under his father. Alongside him, a classmate, was the son of the king then, Prishala. So, his name, Prishata, his son's name was Drupada. So, Drupada and Drona were classmates. They learnt under Drona's father. So, in the class, there was some normal mundane discussion what children have. So, Drona gave something to his friend. His friend said, when I become a king, because in those days they were sure that the Raja's son will become the king. Even today you can be sure. It is all dynasty only, right? So, he immediately said, when I become a king, Drona, whatever I have, I will give half to you. This was a promise he made. Both of them were scratching on the bench with compass. So that time he made this promise, and Drona thought this to be seriously. He didn't know it was an election manifesto. So this will not be fulfilled. He didn't know that. He was too naive, gullible. He said, okay, my friend will give. Later, this Drona married Kripa's sister called Kripi. You remember, 26 and a half minutes back, I told you about Kripa and Kripi. That Kripi he married. This Kripi and Drona settled, and they were the institutionalized family planning first. Nam iruvar, namak kuruvar. They had only one child. So that one child was called Ashwathama. Ashvasyevasya yatstama nadataha pradishegatam Ashwathama baloyam tasman namna bhavishyati. This child, while being born, cried, whose cry was akin to the neighing of a horse. When Hayagriva neighs, Vedanta Deshika says, Samaharas Samnam, Pratipadam Rucham, Dhama Yajusham, Layaf Pratyuhanam, Lahari Vitatir, Bodha Jaladehe, Katha Darpak Shubhyat, Katha Kakula Kola Halabhavam, Haratu Antardhvantam, Hayavadana Hesha, Hala, which is called Hal and Hal, vowels and consonants. So Hayagriva gives us knowledge. That is why Britishers said, let the truth come from the horse's mouth. See, they all had Vedanta Kalakshepam in those days. Hayagriva gives knowledge, even Britishers agreed. Robert Clive also agreed. So, this boy's cry was akin to the neighing of a horse, so he was called Ashwathama. Ashwathama baloyam. This Ashwathama at his young age went and played with his friends. PUBG. They were playing. Stand up on the bench. So, they were playing. As they were playing, they had break to, school they will give one short break, long break. So they all drank milk. This incident is there, don't think I'm making it up. There is a Tamil Bharatam called Villi Bharatam. See, in Telugu, 3 Mahapurushas wrote Mahabharatam. Nannaya Telisa. Now in school, we have Inkem Kavali. Chale, idi chale. Everybody knows this by heart. And the movie has no connection with Jayadeva's Ashtapadi or Gita Govindam. That is not the Gita Govindam. Everybody knows. Are we training our children in Potanna Bhagavatam? Are we training our children in Nannaya Kavyam? Pelli avtunda. Even for a novice like me, I know it's Pelli. That la doesn't enter the tongue. What do? We should send the tongues for workshop practice. They will file, sharpen and give. Annamacharya Kirtanalu, Bhadrachala Ramadas, Kshetraya, Telugu has such a rich literature. Rich literature. Where is that coming from? Shouldn't we teach? If we don't teach, wouldn't that become obsolete? Wouldn't they get lost? I have nothing against English or any language. Learn as many languages as possible. So, 3 Mahapurushas wrote Mahabharatam in Telugu. In Tamil, it was called Villi Putturar. Villi Putturar says, Maavinpal arindan, Avinpal arindilai polum. When all of his friends drank A2 grass-fed organic milk, this boy alone drank one milk. The other boys suspected, this is not milk, Ashwathama. This is flour milk from rice flour. Your mother has mixed some water. She is very poor. She has given you flour milk as milk. Because in those days, the biggest form of wealth was a cow. If you own a cow, you're very rich. They were so much in destitution, they didn't have a cow. So the mother used to fake and give flour milk as true A2 milk. The boy went and lamented to his mother, Mother, my friends are making fun of me. You are not giving me true milk. That is when she told her husband, Drona, you say you keep loving your son. See, Drona had one varam in Mahabharatam. He will never get tired. Never. How do we understand that never? See, imagine 2 hours I'm going to speak. After 2 hours, when you all get up, you will be tired. I did pravachanam or you did pravachanam, we'll get it out. Tired இருக்கும் நடுவுல பசி எடுக்கும் அது 2 பிஸ்கட் போட்டுக்கும் வாயில எல்லாம் நடக்கும். I see every day I give lecture, I see that, right? So just sitting and listening makes us tired. Imagine. And Drona's varam was he will never get tired. Fatigue was never there in his life. So Krishna had to optimize. His strength was he will never get tired. What was his weakness? Son. If something happens to his son, he will get tired. That is why Krishna optimized and asked Bhima to kill an elephant called Ashwathama. So this being said in Sri Mahabharatam, father immediately understood the anguish of his son. So he went to the court of Drupada and said, Drupada, nyapakam unda? Do you have smaranam? We both studied on the same bench. Geometry class, differential calculus, trigonometry, Mendeleev's periodic table, binomial nomenclature. Do you remember, my dear friend? That time Drupada says, Na daridrova sumatova. You keep telling that you're friends with me. Do you think a man who is so poor such as you can be friends with a person as rich as me? Na daridro vasumatova. Avidwan vidusha sakha. Can a person who's devoid of knowledge, who's brimmed and filled with neesons, can he be friends with a person who's adept in the Shastras? Na shurasya sakha klibaha. How can a valorous person be friends with a coward? Sakhi purvam kimishyate. How do you say that I am friends with you? Drona faced the biggest insult of his life. He said, I won't fight you, I won't curse you. There will be a day where you will stand in front of me. And he leaves the Sabha Mantapam with that vow and pledge that he will get back. Now he has to find a job first. First he has to get a cow. That cow has to give A2 milk. He has to convince his son. Many things in the pipeline. That is when he is hunting for a job. Where will he get a job? Around the same time, in Hastinapura, Pandu was dead. His 3 sons born through Kunthi and 2 born through Madri were put under the guardianship of Kunthi. So Kunthi as a widow, as a single mother, had to raise these 5 children. So she came to the asylum seeking refuge. Agatim Sharanagatam Harehe. We all seek refuge in Bhagavan. She sought refuge in Dhritarashtra. He gave facilities. He had produced 100 children, most of them useless. One daughter called Dushala. And while his wife was pregnant, he had a relationship with the maid servant. Through that, he produced one son called Yuyutsu. Sir, can you make it a bit polished? What polish can I make in telling this statement? This is how it is in Mahabharata. So this Yuyutsu only before the war goes to Pandava's side. Now, 100 plus 1 plus 1, 102 children. We have heard cheaper by the dozen. This is not dozen at all, it is a ton. 102. 100 plus 2, 102. Now, these children had to get tutored. See, they themselves were the school. They didn't have to go to a school. So, 102 plus 5, 107. Now, Bhishma Acharya, the only learned, sensible, logical person left in Hastinapura, was left to the job of hunting for a teacher. These boys went about playing. They didn't have a teacher. The ball Kandukam with which they were playing fell into a well. They said, oh, the ball has fallen into the well. Who will take it for us? One person was walking by. They asked that, Mama, can you take for us? In Tamil, Mama means general uncle. Telugu emi. You can use the verb Mama Garu. I'll add one Garu. That's all. So Mama Garu was walking. So the boys went and said, take the Kandukam for me. They thought this man will, either you can sit there or control. So, when the ball fell into the waters, the ball had to be taken from the waters. How did they take? They thought this man will plunge into the waters, will take a plunge. He didn't do. He was carrying a bunch of darbha grass. He took one grass, did one mantrocharanam and left it. That went and stuck on the ball. We have played this game where you rub the ruler on your head and then use some electromagnetic force there to attract. So it went and stuck on the ball. The next grass went and stood above the below grass. So there was a long chain. And through that, he pulled that ball out. This was a cause of amazement to the boys. They were looking as if they were looking magic. So they said, what a magic it is. While this magic happened on one side, the boy continued playing. One boy from the entire 106 lot, because Dushala was not playing, 106 lot, went running to Bhishma and said, you were searching for a teacher for us. We have spotted one. Where is the teacher? Now this boy was asking, where is the teacher? So that was the big question. How did he spot? He said, see Swami, he took the ball out this way. That very moment Bhishma got to know that this is no ordinary person, this is Bharadwaja's son. So he went and recruited Drona. And you know who spotted? Arjuna was the one who spotted. See, the teacher spots the caliber of a teacher. The student spots the caliber of a teacher. The student has recognized this is the teacher. See, imagine Arjuna's talent at that age. Other children were playing. He was very different. The only one in the entire Mahabharata who never ever was defeated was Arjuna. So many people are Karna supporters. So Karna has one fan club. Karan के बारे में कुछ बोलिए अब Karan के बारे में कुछ नहीं बोल रहे हैं. Karan is like South Africa. If in finals he will lose. He has never won. That is Karna's prarabdham. Arjuna has never lost. Great warrior he was. The hero of his times. Arjuna went and told Drona was recruited. So Drona was given all the facilities. He said with new pension scheme and all, you'll get so much. Your basic pay will be this. Your provident fund will be this. You will have a portfolio manager. We will have an investment banking person who will do the credit risk and market risk. He will tell you what things to invest. All this he said. Now the point is, Drona got all facilities. He wanted one cow. He had the entire cow shed for himself. But the rule given was, you should teach only these children. Lateral hires, other children are not allowed. That is when Drona said, I will teach only these sons, 100 plus 5 plus 1, 106. But please allow my son also to study. In schools, there is one facility. For the teacher's son, they will give one seat or they will reduce the fees. So he used that. See, all this is also Pauranikam. So we have taken this from the past. So they were all trained. Now at the end of their training, they had to go and ask the teacher what Guru Dakshina to pay. They thought the teacher will give them the IFSC code, UPI code, so that they can transfer. Drona said, kuch nahi chahiye. But these boys insisted. He said, if at all you want to gift me something, go make Drupada the prisoner. He should be the prisoner of this war. Bring him right in front of me. The students said yes, but Duryodhana always had an ego problem. He said, I don't need the Pandavas. We will go as 100 and we will vanquish the Drupada in that war, pull him and drag him in front of you. Veeravachanam is great. Let's see what happened. He went there. Drupada caught Duryodhana and 100 people and put them in the jail. That's all. Now, the responsibility of the Pandavas was to first release these 100 and then bring that Drupada. Now, Drona said, if you want to use the Hastinapura army, the 5 of them said, too many cooks spoil the broth. Let the Rathi, Yudhishthira, the leader amongst us, stand as a Rathi. To protect that Rathi, let Arjuna stand with him. In the front, protecting the horses, let Bhima walk. Let Nakula and Sahadeva walk alongside the wheels, protecting the wheels. To protect the wheels, Nakula Sahadeva. To protect the horses, Bhima. To protect the Rathi called Yudhishthira, Arjuna will go. We 5 can manage. He went there. Drupada was amazed. He didn't know when Arjuna was fitting the arrow and releasing it. It was so quick. It was so quick. One after the other, it just came. Drupada was amazed. He had never seen a warrior as valorous, filled with prowess as this man. Arjuna, that is where the shlokam comes. Shigram abhyasyato banan sandadhanasya chanisham Nantaram dadrishe kinchit kaunteyasya yashasvinaha. What a beautiful shloka. Mahabharatham is great. Kaunteyasya yashasvinaha. Kunthi putrudu. Kaunteya ante Kunthi putrudu is called Kaunteya. Vasudevasya puman iti Vasudevaha. This is how we all derive. So the yuddham was happening. Arjuna jumped from his chariot, took the sword from his scabbard, pulled Drupada and held him close and said, I will not kill you. Yes, sir. He said, I will not kill you. My Acharya has asked me to bring you in front of him. You are a Raja. I will give you due respects. Don't worry, I will do you no harm. I won't humiliate you. Please come along with me yourself without creating much halabaloo. Come with me, I will take you. That time, remember this. That time, Drupada thought, I wish I had a daughter so that I could get him married to a man like him. If at all I have a daughter, he should be my son-in-law. This was his thought, even while getting arrested. See, imagine that. He's getting arrested. Now, he was taken before Drona. Drona said, see, I have literally won over you. So, your entire Panchala Desham belongs to me. Now, I don't want you to suffer, Drupada. If I take your entire Rajyam, you will become poor. So, what I will do is, I have bequeathed your Rajyam. I will give half of that to you. He has taken his entire property. Now, he is giving Bhiksha. He said, that capital will be called Kampilya, go away. That time, Drupada thought, if at all I have a son, he should kill this Drona in a war. And he left. Now his mind was entirely into vendetta. When will that boy be born? How will he be born? Can he kill Drona? That is when he wanted to perform a Putrakameshti. So he went to 2 brothers called Yaja and Upayaja. Yaja said, see, these kind of kamyartha yagams and all, I don't do. Mere paas mat aao. I'm already very busy. I've got many clients in Hyderabad. So leave me. As he said this, he went to the younger brother Upayaja. Upayaja said, you pay me little more, I will do it. So Upayaja conducted the Putrakameshthi. At that time, the Charu was formed. The wife had to be called. Drupada's wife was very busy. She said, sir, always you are doing yagam. I have to go somewhere. I too have my own life. I am an individual. All along, I cannot keep staying with you. I am independent. I don't know. She went away. Now this Charu was left. So this Charu was thrown into the Yagashala. Then there came a blazing fire from that. Something very magical. Not logically tenable for us, but something magical happened. Jwala varnau ghora rupaha kiriti varma chottamam bibhrat sakhadgas sasharo dhanushman vinadanmuhu drishtatvat yunnimarshatvat dyumna dyutsambhavadapi drishtadyumna kumaroyam drupadasya bhavatviti. One boy, not even a boy, a well-developed adult, very strong, biceps, six packs, armor, kavacham, kundalam, kiritam, with khadgam, with all the ayudhams. His face was blazing with anger. His body was revealing his valor. He emerged from the fire, fully developed boy. That way Drupada was blessed. He didn't have to go to kindergarten, find an admission, give that interview, give all the online Zoom classes, then understanding what branch he will take, then going behind that college. All this he didn't have to do. Fully developed adult had come. So he was given the name Drishtadyumnaha. So what was the interest of the yagam? The yagam was meant so that it can accomplish whatever Drupada desires. What did Drupada desire? He wanted a son who could take on Drona. Got. So he said, everybody is being paid well. Transfer हो गया ना सभी को. Okay, ठीक है. सभी लोग माफ कर दीजिए, क्षमा कर दीजिए. अभी हो गया यज्ञ, हवन हो गया. नमस्कार. पुनः मिलते हैं 9 p.m. tomorrow. That all. He gave the vote of thanks and he had to leave. But the Agni did not get Shamanam. See, whenever we do a havan in our house, our havan and all is for half an hour, 45 minutes. That time itself we get impatient. Kab khatam hoga, kab khatam hoga. Half an hour. So we have to wait for the Agni to come and wait for the Agni to go. Because you have invited Agni as your guest. Till that Agni Shamanam happens, you have to stay. So the Agni did not get Shamanam at all. Drupada was wondering, what is happening? I had wanted a son. Son ho gaya. Abhi kya hai? Kumari chapi panchali vedi madhyat samuttita subhaga darshaniyangi swastita yatalochana shyama padmapala shakshi neelakunjita murdhaja tamratunganakhi subhru charupina payodara. There was a beautiful woman who came unexpectedly from the Agni Kundam. Kumari Chapi Panchali, she was very young. Vedi Madhyat Samuttita, she arose from the Vedika. Subhaga Darshaniyangi, no woman in the world until then had a beauty as blemishless as her. Subhaga Darshaniyangi. Swastita yatalochanaha, her eyes were so wide. Shyama, look at the word, she was dark hued. That is Bharatam. See, our heroes and heroines, if you look into Ramayanam and Mahabharatam, are dark color. No one is fair. All dark people. Now we have come to the state where we will make advertisements where the girl is very sad because one boy has rejected her. Then another person will come and give one tube. She will apply that all over her face. Then she will become bright and she will marry that boy. See where we have come down as a society. From calling Draupadi, the dark-hued one, as a heroine, we are now making our girls and boys fair. See, if you're fair, naturally that's another thing. But Whenever we describe Paramatma, he is called as Meghavarna, Shyama, dark hued. Samudrika Lakshana Shastram talks so deep about dark skin. We have to first accept ourselves. See, when we don't accept ourselves and we want to impress upon somebody, our life will be ruined. Why should I impress the other person if my partner wants me to be? I am not that fair. I'm not fair skin. I don't apply this churnam, foundation, eyeshadow, nothing I apply. Just this thiruman I apply and come. Now, if you think that I am dark skinned, so be it. My wife has accepted. What more do I want? If my wife says, no, you have to be fair skinned, I don't need that kind of a wife. Right? Why will I have to become someone to impress someone? Where we have degraded as a society. Just think. Shyama Padmapala Shakshi, her eyes were akin to the petals plucked from a newly blossomed lotus. Shyama Padmapala Shakshi, Neela Kunjita Murdhaja, curly hair tresses with the blue hue all along. Tamra Tunga Nakhi Subru, it looked as if copper was polished over her nails, red colored nails. Tamra Tunga Nakhi Subru Charupina Payodhara. Beautiful she looked. The entire Sabha Mantapam was amazed. Ye kaun hai? Byproduct. Product was Drishtadyumna. What is his byproduct? That is when the Rishi asked, I had made a vow, whatever you had desired should happen. Had you desired a daughter? Remember when Arjuna had come, he thought, if at all I have a daughter, he should be the son-in-law. So that was accomplished. The girl came. மண்மேல் ஒருத்தி அறக்கற்குலம் மாளப் பிறந்தாழ்வா மனுதல் கண்மேல் இன்றும் இவள் பிறந்தாள் கழற்காவலர்த்தம் குலமுடிப்பான். How was she? Krishnetya Bruvan Krishnam Krishna Bhoot Sahi Varnataha. She was called Krishna. She was called the dark-hued one. Dark-hued one, Krishna. Now they describe that day when she came, father arranged for jewelry. The Sairandrika streets were trying to arrange fix all the jewelry. So they kept that Netti Chutti. In that Madhya Desham, you've got one. Then there is a septum, Mullak. Then they fit all the earrings. See, today we say that, men, some of them, many women, they have multiple holes. This was there even in the past. If you go southwards in Sangam literature, you'll have Tandatti, you will have all this, you'll have 6-7 places. Each one is called by a name. So we have not come up with something new. So wherever that 1 inch space is possible, we'll keep boring. So all the jewelry was fixed, the choker, all the step chain, everything was given. Now the women had to fix the girdle, mekhala, kanchi. They didn't know where to keep it because they have to keep it in the hip. So they can keep it, no sir, hip was missing. The poet says in Bharata Champu, hip was missing. How is that possible? How can the upper torso float in air? It needs a connection, right? It needs a connection. But the hip was so thin that it could not be seen. Lakshana Shastram says for the man and the woman, the hip should be that invisible, it seems. It should be so thin. We can't even imagine. Right? We are beyond that because when we go to a doctor, he says, all your Purva Janma Karma is settled here. Sakalamapi vapu vibhushyatanyya sapadi sakhi vipulekshana bhujapi Chirataramanavikshya madhya desham karadhrita kanchana kanchirevatastau. So there was this girdle placement. Now they placed that girdle. There is another shloka. You'll all appreciate literature. This is from Bharata Champu. The women were all holding different saris in their hands. One was holding a paithani, one was holding a Ikkat Sambalpuri, one was holding a Maheshwari, one was holding a Patola, one was holding maybe a Mangalagiri, one Pochampalli, one a KSIC, one the Kasavu of Kerala, one Kanchi, one Tribhuvanam, one Darasuram, one Banarasi brocade. So everyone was holding multi-colors, multi-knots. And So when they were all holding and she was sporting the girdle, imagine the girdle has uncut diamonds. The reflection of those saris held by them will fall on this. So those multi-cut uncolored diamonds looked colorful. One looked red, one looked green because the reflections were falling on them. So those sari reflections were falling on them. The poet says, the moment she saw so many saris falling on her girdle, she held it tight. Why? The poet says she knew she will need them later. He says, Kanchi kalapamani bimbita parshvayoshi kausheya panktiravanarindra suta babase avirbhavishyadadi goshti kirita makkatini magnam vyavasashatam janadrishami vasuchayanti. So she was decorated. Now Swayamvaram was ordered. She had to get married to someone. Around the same time, Pandavas were put into a palace of inflammable materials called Lakshagraham. That was burnt, they escaped, they went to Ekachakra Nagaram, Bhima killed Bakasura, then they moved from that place and they were walking back. The Brahmanas said, there is a Swayamvaram close by, you all look capable Brahmanas, let us go attend, at least let us be in the audience. So they all went to Kampilya. It was around, they were in the disguise of Brahmanas. Remember, the Pandavas were in the disguise of Brahmanas. The king had arranged, Duryodhana had come, Dushyasana had come, Karna had come, all those other people had come. So the Swayamvaram was arranged. You have to prove your Veeram, Veerya Shulkam. What is it you have to do? There will be a fish. The fish is attached to a disc. The disc will keep revolving. That is attached to the ceiling. So the fish with the disc is attached to the ceiling. Below it are waters. So the warrior has to come, look at the fish's reflection in the waters and take an arrow. Looking downwards, he has to hit upwards at the eye of the fish. Nobody will get married. Who will get married? I will not even participate. I don't mind sitting next to Vinayaka. It's okay, sir. It's okay to be a brahmachari. Why go there, lose the battle and then feel humiliated when media interviews come? See, imagine you attend and outside media will be waiting. Sir, kaisa laga? Kaisa hoga? So it is better to remain. So, such tests were there. Thank God, Kali Yugam, that way we are blessed. So there is some great Mahanubhava who gives his precious daughter to us. We have to be quiet and take. So, Yajnasenasya kamastu. Now, beautiful. See, Mahabharatam is an experience. You have to relish Mahabharatam at every step. So the Swayamvaram is happening. Most of them failed. That is when Balarama made an orbit comment. He called Krishna and said, Krishna and Balarama were special VIPs. They were in the corporate box, like IPL, they were there watching. So Balarama told Krishna, Krishna, शायद अर्जुन जीवित होता तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता ना. शायद अर्जुन जीवित होता. Krishna said, do you see one person there? Yes, he looks like a Brahmana. He's got beard. वो ही अर्जुन है. He said, etiquette and behavior doesn't come with, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So, here, Krishna said, Balarama, look at that man who's coming. Hide the jata and hide the beard and see. Ye kaun hai? Ye hi Arjun hai, action king. This is Arjuna. How did he survive? All that I'll tell you later. He is Arjuna. So now Arjuna as a Brahmana came. He wanted to just apply the way he came. The shloka is Arjuno dhanushobhyashe tasthau giririva chalaha sadadhanuhu parikramya pradakshinamata karot pranamya shirasa devam ishanam varadam prabhum krishnam chamanasa kritva jagrihe cha Arjuno dhanuhu. When Arjuna came, see, the way he walked itself gave a confidence to everybody that this man will win. See, the way you hold. See, when you speak like this itself, audience will lose that hope. See, the way you speak, the way you look, should determine what confidence you have on the content. Your body language should say whether you're a speaker or a listener. When Arjuna walked, people knew he will win. He did a pradakshinam around that. See, that is Arjuna. He respected his vidya. He respected. He did a pradakshinam around the bow and the arrow, lifted it, looked at the waters, looked up, looked at the waters again. He calculated at what velocity, at what distance it is going. Calculated. See, it's simple science, right? You have to take the center to the circumference. You get the radius. And from that radius, you have to create an imaginary cone so that you get the volume. From that volume, you'll have to raise. It's simple. Pi r3 cube, we do, right? So he did that. Now you may say, sir, were they mathematicians in those days? See, if we believe that mathematics comes only with our degree, then how did the mothers of 1900s who had 7 children were able to get all their children married off without studying MBA? Tell me. You don't need a degree to be a management professional. What were our ancestors? They had so many children, one person working in the house. They fed all their children and got their children married. They were management professionals. Today with one child we suffer. One child we don't know how to manage. They had 7 daughters, 5 sons, 12 children in the family, all of them well settled. How did they do that? They knew where to save and where to spend. So you don't, see, I'm not trying to demean. I've taught for MBA, so don't take it that way. But what I'm saying is, practical knowledge is very important. You can't just go by theoretical knowledge, Maslow's hierarchy, sociological, physiological, flood, water. So it's SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities. This is not the way management is done. It's through practical experience. You take up a job. A child, if he's capable, 7th standard child, give him 100 rupees and say you have to buy rice and wheat. The child should know how much quantity rice we take. He may have to buy 1.5 kgs of rice, half a kg of wheat because we make chapati once a week. This is how the child should calculate. It is not through simple formulae. Theoretically, you will be strong. Practically, you will be a big zero. So here Arjuna calculated. He hit one arrow, one shot, the fish was hit, eye was hit. That's all. He has played all this in his childhood. He already question paper leak ho gaya. So in his childhood, he has done all this. Immediately, the Raja was happy. He got Draupadi married. He didn't know it was Arjuna. Arjuna took this Draupadi home. Here is where Draupadi's life problems begin. She was taken. He could have just said, I've married. In those days, it was not a big thing. Kshatriya, whenever they come home, they'll bring one new daughter-in-law. So it was a norm in those days. He could have just said, I'm married. Mother would have accepted. He said, I've bought a bhogya vastu. I've got something in Bhiksha. I brought. Just, how children joke with their parents. Immediately, without turning back, Kunthi said, whatever you have got, share. She turned back. There was a person in flesh and blood. He said, did you call her bhogya vastu? How demeaning that you think a woman is a bhogya vastu. He said, Mata, just like that I said. It's okay, beta, kuch nahi hoga. Okay, she is my daughter-in-law. Aajao, Draupadi. Now, rule master came. Yudhishthira. He said, whatever the mother says as per Article 94F and 52B can't be digressed. What do we do now? Draupadi was in a fixed catch-22 situation. He said, there is no other go. All 5 of us have to marry you. Draupadi said, Kal hi mera janma hua. आज से ही प्रॉब्लम शुरू हो रहा है. What kind of a life is என்னடா வாழ்க்கை இது? அவ்வளவுதான். So what is this? There was no such thing. One woman marrying 5 husbands. How will she manage? How will she even write? How will she register in Aadhaar card? Should she have 5 Aadhaar cards? So many questions. They had questions only. They didn't know how to manage the situation. That is the first time, remember, this is the first time Krishna makes an entry in their lives. Till then they have not met. Krishna makes a grand entry. He comes to the ashramam and he says, Krishna's own aunt, Atte. Tamil la Atte ennu Tamil Telugu bhashalo yemi. Atta, Attai, ella unnu. Same person. Only for sister-in-law you have a different word. Aada paduchu kada. Telugu bhashalo aadapadichu. Otherwise, most of the languages, not tanor, not dini, nanand, nananda. they are all common. Adapadichu alone is odd man out. Here, Attai, Atta, same thing. So it was his Attai, Kunthi. So he took blessings from his Attai and said, what is the problem? That is when they said, see, I've told 5 of them they have to share. This Yudhishthira rule master says 5 of them have to marry. What to do now? Krishna said, there is no dosham because we have 2 precedences in the past. Padmalochana married 10 men and Jatila married 7. So this is better. This is only 5. So there is a precedence before us. So you can marry and you're not marrying for any physical concern. This is Mata's Adesha. So you have to follow. But how do we marry? Mantram is only for marrying one. Krishna said there is a way to get out of it. Draupadi was born of fire, which means fire won't do her any harm. Let her get into the fire, come out, marry Yudhishthira, go again into the fire, come out, marry Bhima. So thereby the rule will not be digressed. Tam yajnasenim paramapratitau bhikshetyatha vedayatam naranghyau kutigata satvanavikshya putrau provacha bhumtveti sametya sarve. Now Draupadi's doubt was, ekasya bahvayo vihita mahishya kurunandana naikasya bhagavah pumsaha shruyante pataya kvachit. That is when Krishna says, Draupadi, this is also a making of your own problem. Why? Because in your previous janma, you had asked Shiva that I want a husband who is rule following, very powerful, always victorious, extremely handsome, and adept in Shastra. You wanted 5 characteristics in one man. So you said that I want these 5 characteristics. Shiva said he granted. He has granted that. Just that each of this has become one person. Extremely adept in Shastra, Sahadeva. Very handsome, Nakula. Victorious, Arjuna. Valorous, Bhima. Always rule following is Yudhishthira. You have got 5. What does it imply? Both the boy and the girl. Practical solution, I'll tell you. For parents also to get a sigh of relief. Don't expect your partner to be a blemishless one. You know, whenever we see, if at all, if they find their own partner is a different thing. If they get asked their parents today, parents have a bigger problem. They will give 101 conditions. For this, Brahma has to do a new Srishti. In the existing human population, you cannot find one person. Because you want a well-read, office-going, extremely career-oriented, but homely, culture-oriented. So, compromise is the secret word in life. You will not get everything in every person. Only when we realize this and we realize the longevity and the short duration of our life, we'll be able to live. See, our aim is not only for the art of living, it is also about the art of leaving. How to live and how for the Jivatma has to leave. That is we are married, produce children, whether they are good or bad, we'll see. It's a Hiranyakashipu or Prahlada. Then we develop them, then there'll be grandchildren. That's all. Then think about moksham and leave. By that, some people will be repenting till they're 16. அவர் எப்படியெல்லாம் இருக்கணும்னு நினச்சி இப்படி அமைஞ்சுட்டார் பாருங்க, சுமாராக இருக்கார் பார்க்கறதுக்குன்னா என்ன பண்ணுறது, தள்ளெழுத்து அப்படி தான் இருக்கும். We can't do anything. There is no way. Keep on repenting. That is not the way life has to go. If this is understood, this is the beautiful philosophy of our life. That is why we have gotten the Western way. We are not happy with one. That is not the way we see. We have to live. As long as it doesn't get toxic or abusive, learn to live with each other. Nobody will be perfect. So here, Draupadi had 5, she had to adjust. Krishna said, Krishna, you adjust this way. Now she seeks the bliss. Thank God, one thing, Draupadi was fortunate. She had only one mother-in-law. Imagine she had 5 mothers-in-law. She then would have had to manage all the 5 psychologies of this. Each one will be of one character. One dosa pidikongo, nada pidikongo. So, thank God she had one mother-in-law. She went and sought blessings in her mother-in-law. It was a tradition of the past. Yathendrani harihaye. Now, as she fell at her mother-in-law's feet, Kunthi said, it's a very common practice in the north of India. Wherever they meet, they will touch their foot. For us, we will first see the place, whether it is clean, whether that person is qualified. Then we will do on Sashtanga Namaskaram. All this we have to do. So there in north, they say pipi karo, peri pona. Just one tap, tap, jite raho. Before they fall itself, the other person will say, don't, no, you. It's at north. Now, she fell at her mother-in-law's feet. What did the mother-in-law say? That is where, look at our Bharatam. She said, I have undergone a lot of problems in my life, Draupadi. At a very young age, I was given an adoption by my father to a king, Kunthi Bhoja. When you're given an adoption, that child has to adjust to the surroundings. As I started developing some kind of a culture, some kind of a bonding, I had a child. I had to throw away that child. Then I married Pandu. By the time 1 week of marriage was over, he married another woman called Madri. When we wanted to have children, we couldn't have children of our own. When we had children, they were dead. When we carried the children home, we were put into a palace which was let to burn. Full of problems in my life, challenges in my life, Draupadi. Whatever I have suffered, my dear daughter-in-law, you should never undergo any of it in your life. What a blessing. This is how? Did I have ninja mixie and did I have ultra grinder? Why can't you use the mortar and grill? Yeah. See, look at Kunthi's thought process. See Mahabharatam, what maturity characters had. Today we say saas bhi bahuti, mami are. Look at the way we take. You see any average Telugu serial, Tamil serial, surely there will be a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law clash. You see, I have seen. I'll tell you the names later after the lecture is over. Every lecture standard, there will be a fight. Have you ever seen Kaushalya and Sita have a difference of opinion? Kunthi and Draupadi, why? That was Bharatam of the past. She says, you should not suffer. That is how a mother-in-law should be. She should treat her daughter-in-law as her daughter. She said, I will be of support to you. Well, I can keep going on and on about these characters. Every character is a gem. Again, Draupadi, they went to Hastinapura. This was a big shocker for Duryodhana because he had declared that the Pandavas were dead. He arranged one prayer meeting. He put some glycerin in his eyes and Shakuni said, पता है बेटा तुम्हें बहुत दुख होगा, अफसोस होगा कि वो मर चुके हैं. मुझे पता है कि तुम्हें पांडवों के पास कितना मर्यादा था. All this he said. Now they come in flesh and blood. He started crying really. See, imagine one close person in our family, grandfather, great-grandfather, grandmother, very close to us, extremely affectionate towards us. We have a good bond with them. They are dead. We'll cry for 2 days. We'll do the cremation, come home. We do all those samskaras, 9th day, 10th day, 11th day, 12th day, and 13th day, we call it Vaikuntha Samaradhana. So we do that. And we spend these days, it costs a lot also. If a person is living also, it costs. Dead also, it costs. So we spend so many lakhs after the person is dead. Everybody is given sweets we distribute on the 13th day. It is called Shubha Swikara. Everything is done. We all take rest in the house. Somebody knocks at the door. We go open. The person who's dead. Now we will start crying more than what we cried on the day of the death. You sir, 5 lakhs I spent thinking you were dead. You are back again. How are you back? Similarly, the Pandavas came. Duryodhana started crying because he had done one prayer meeting for them, Shraddham for them. They all came, that too with a girl. Now this is when Bhishma thought, these people can't coexist. He said it is better to divide the property and give. Dhritarashtra, worst administrator. He gave a waste, futile land infested with thorns and forests and snakes called Khandavavanam. That is the current day Delhi. Delhi, parts of Ghaziabad and some small part of western Uttar Pradesh was Khandavam. So Khandavam was given to them. They felt very bad. What kind of a land he has given? Krishna said, don't worry. Your karma is like this. We will make a great place out of it. He took Arjuna, went around Khandavavanam, called Indra. Indra constructed through Maya a great palace, smart city. If left side, if vehicles go, that side only they will go. They will not overtake on the right side. Divider means they will not climb on the divider. Today when I saw 3 vehicles were going on the footpath. Now I think people have to walk on the road. I think we have exchanged. Footpath is for vehicles. When I look at the way people drive, I wonder, what rule is there only in the dictionary, nowhere else. So it was such a smart city. So Indra was a politician of those days. He said, see, I have made efforts for this. From now on, the city should be after me. Khandava Prastham became Indra Prastham. For that, Rajasuya Yajnam had to be conducted. They called all the kings. Dhritarashtra didn't come. He delegated his sons and Shakuni to go. Karna came. Krishna came. Balarama came. Shishupala was called. When Shishupala was called, and there was a question as to who should be accorded the highest respect. Bhishma was unanimously selected. But Bhishma said, see, I may be old, but I am not wise enough. If at all there is one person who adorns the Sabha Mantapam because of his knowledge, it is Krishna. Worship Krishna. Pandavas were on cloud 9. They said, we were waiting for an opportunity to accord due respects to Krishna. Sahadeva went and started giving respects to Krishna. Niruttangal! Stop it! In Telugu, Agandi, right? Agandi! He said. So did he know Telugu? He would have known Telugu. Somebody will ask, Telugu Telisad? Shishupaluku. Telugu. He must have learnt online. He said, Agandi. So why Agandi? Now he started saying, how do you accord respects to a person who is an abactor, a cattle thief? A person who has stolen butter? A person who has lied? A person who dances in the middle of the night and calls it Rasa Krida? He started abusing Krishna one after the other. It came like a shower. It was so obnoxious to listen to it. Even Duryodhana felt bad. Duryodhana, बहुत बुरा बोला है शिशुपाल, कंट्रोल करो कंट्रोल, बहुत ज्यादा. Even Duryodhana के बड़ी कर. Duryodhana felt bad. Shakuni felt bad. शिशुपाल बहुत ज्यादा हो रहे. Dosage थोड़ा ज्यादा है. What did you have in common? Everything they wanted. Balarama said, Krishna, are you shameless? He's abusing you. He's reprimanding you. Give him back. Krishna was counting. What are you counting, you shameless man? I had promised my aunt that one day he can abuse me only 100 times. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3. Krishna, when will this get over? But he was not devoid of names. He kept on abusing. 100th abuse. His head fell off. The body danced for a few seconds and fell on the ground. There was splashing of blood. Chakram had done its job. It didn't even ask Krishna. Krishna didn't even send. It was waiting for the opportunity. Pottu Talliyaj. In Tamil, that's a sacred word. Pottu Talliyaj. I keep telling in my lecture. One boy came and very interestingly asked, you know why Krishna has Shankam and Chakram? I said, I don't know why. He will cut with the Chakram and blow the conch. Sangu jiduvar sir. Chakratale vettitte. So, we come up with new concepts. Youngsters are very inspiring. So, in a housewarming Rajasuya Yajnam, there was crime scene. Immediately CBI, ED, they all came. FIR was not reported 11 hours later. They immediately came. They took a chalk and drew around that body. So all this was done. Now imagine you are having a housewarming ceremony, it turns into a crime scene. So they all left. Yudhishthira said, Bhojanan Chesi. They all were afraid because Chakram was still loitering in the air. Fulla gundi sir, yemo maku pantoprazole kavali, acid reflux avutundi, and they all left. While leaving, Duryodhana mistook a lake, a small pond to be the floor and fell into the waters. This is how we have understood that Draupadi laughed. Remember, in Mahabharatam, there is no shloka of Draupadi laughing. This man goes to his father and is jealous of Pandava's prosperity. He wants Indraprastham. The only way he can coax his father is when he says he has been humiliated. That is when he tells his father that Drupada Nandani laughed. This was a scam. Draupadi did not laugh. The Sairandrika Stris laughed. Draupadi did not laugh. He put the blame on Draupadi and said the only way that I can get rid of this is when these people are devoid of their riches and the prosperity that they have bequeathed. Dhritarashtra asked, what are you going to do? Call them for gambling. An invitation was sent. It was a very, we thereby request your, solicit your presence in Hastinapura. Please do come with your family and enjoy the comforts that we are going to throw at you. We'll be honored with your presence, RSVP. This is the number you have to get in contact. Event manager is this. They all came. That day when Pandavas and Draupadi came to Hastinapura, Draupadi's menstruation cycle had begun. She had started menstruating that day. So she went into her Antavpuram. Meanwhile, the Sabha Mantapam is where the gambling was arranged. Technically, when Yudhishthira had to play the role of playing on the Pandavas side, Duryodhana had to pay. You know what Duryodhana did? He said, I don't know, I've got a catch or something. Let my uncle play. Shakuni play. Shakuni was a doctorate in gambling. Yudhishthira had just begun his beginner's course. Had Yudhishthira said, if your uncle is playing, let my uncle's son Krishna play, we wouldn't have got Bhagavad Gita at all. That day itself, Krishna would have won and gone. Now, Yudhishthira being Yudhishthira, he said, I will play. Now the rule was you have to pawn. Vidura said, don't get into this game. This is a very dangerous game. Duryodhana reprimanded Vidura, insulted him and said, you are born of a dasi. Remember your birth, how inferior it is, and sit down. As the game began, people were witness to it. What happened? You had to pawn. So there are about 18 shlokas mentioned of what all they pawned. Pearl with gold chain, jars with gold coins, a ratham, 1,000 Sairandrika Stris, jewelry, skilled people, 1,000 men, 1,000 elephants, 1,000 horses, Chitrarathas gifts, 10,000 rathas, 10,000 soldiers, 400 nidhis, 5 dronas, goats, city, land. Every round he will pawn, Yudhishthira will lose, Duryodhana will gain. When everything was done with all the riches that were adorning Indraprastha was done and Indraprastha was also lost, came next what to pawn next? Nakula was pawned. Shyamo yuva lohitakshaha simhaskandho mahabhujah nakuloglah aiveko vidyatyetat mama tadhanam. Yudhishthira pawned the eldest of the sons born to his aunt, stepmother called Madri, Nakula. Then Arjuna was pawned, Bhima was pawned, Sahadeva was pawned, Arjuna was pawned. When Arjuna was pawned and Arjuna was lost, there was a huge cry in the Sabha Mantapam, because if Arjuna is your servant, imagine what will be the value of your house. Everybody was lost and Yudhishthira finally pawned himself. He lost himself. Everything was lost. Pancha Pandavas lost themselves. Shakuni then says, Ekavastra tvadhoni virodamana rajaswala sabhamagamya panchali. He says, have you pawned everything, Yudhishthira? Yudhishthira says, yes, Mama, I've pawned everything. No. You seem to have something priceless with you. Mama, what is it? Draupadi. The moment Draupadi's name was taken, Sabha had a kampanam. Yudhishthira answered, if she is not your wife, yes, she is my wife. Doesn't she belong to you? Yes, she belongs to me. Pawn her then. If she belongs to you, she should be pawned. Anything and everything belongs to you, should be pawned. Pawn her right away. Draupadi was pawned and she was lost. That time, Shakuni says, Eka vastra tvadhonivi rodamana rajaswala. Rajaswala means red blood when it comes during menstruation. Rodamana, ekavastra. So in menstruation, they would sport only one piece of cloth over them. Ekavastrat vadhonivi rodamana rajaswala sabham agamya panchali. Let that menstruating woman, despite the blood, let her be brought to the court. Sabham agamya panchali shvashurasyagrato bhava. Let her see her shvashura. Shvashura means father-in-law. Let her see. Shakuni says. Then first a person called Pratikramin goes. He goes and stands outside the Antahpuram and says, Maharagni, you have been called to the court. She asks, why will I be called to the court now when I have to rest? No, there is a gambling. Yes, I know of it. Your husband is lost. What has he lost? Indraprastha. Okay. She didn't take it so hardly. She said, okay, fine, he has lost Indraprastha. Why should I come? He has lost you. Has he lost himself, Pratikramin? Yes. Did he pawn me and then lose himself? Or did he lose himself and then pawn me? Draupadi is asking a valid, technical, legal question. Because if Yudhishthira has pawned himself and lost himself, he is a dasa. Dasa technically owns nothing to pawn. How can he pawn Draupadi then? If it's the other way around, that she has been pawned earlier, shouldn't she have been called before Yudhishthira was pawned, before he lost himself? Pratikramin says, okay, Mata, Maharagni, I will go ask. He goes to the Sabha and says, Rani asked whether she was pawned first. Duryodhana slaps that Pratikramin. She is a dasi and she has the audacity to ask questions to a Raja like me. Dushasana, she doesn't deserve this. Pratikramin, go pull that dasi by her hair. Let her come to the Sabha Mantapam. Rajaswala bhavayajñaseni yekambara vapyathava vivastra. Dushasana says, she pleads, Dushasana, you are my brother-in-law. Know that I am menstruating. Blood is just off my body. Please don't trouble me. He says, Rajaswala bhavayajñaseni ekambara vapyathava vivastra. Whether you are menstruating not, whether you are in one piece of cloth or not, how does it matter to me, you servant? Dyutejita chasi krita sidasi dasi shuvasascha yatho bhashojam josham. He pulls her to the court, Sabha Mantapam. She now goes pleading. She says, Bhishma, you are like my father. I am being humiliated in front of you. Shouldn't you fight these people and get me justice? One grave mistake Bhishma does in his life is he doesn't come to the support of Draupadi then. He says, Draupadi, I don't know whether it is correct. Your husband says you belong to him. Maybe you belong. So you were pawned. Maybe he's right. I don't know. When Bhishma had an opportunity to save this woman, he lost it. Then she goes to Drona. She says, see, you and my father have been friends, later enemies, now frenemies. But am I not your daughter? Shouldn't you use your Dhanurvidya to protect me? He puts his head down. Kripa puts his head down. Vidura says, Mata, I want to defend you, Mata. When he stood up, Duryodhana puts him down. Vikarna, one brother amongst the 100, he stands up and says, brother, you're doing a great mistake. She's anyways our Babi, our sister-in-law. Do not humiliate her. She pleads. None of the Pandavas come forth. None of the people can you imagine a Sabha Mantapam of that great learning? Not one person came to her defense. You know what Karna says? We all have venerated Karna. Karna, great Karan, Surya Putra Karan. I'll tell you that nature of that man. He says, Asyaha sabham anayanam cha chitramiti mematihi ekambaradya ratvam vapyata vapi vivastra. Duryodhana, I have an idea. She is your dasi anyway. How does it matter if that cloth stays on her or is taken away from her? He gives that idea. That Surya Putra Karan, that Karna gives this idea. So do not glorify unnecessarily a person like him. If you haven't read the Mahabharatam, read and then understand. He doesn't deserve that respect. He says, let that cloth be taken. It is Karna Vakyam. Good idea, Karna. Dushasana, take that piece of cloth from her. Let her be taken. The blood floor was strewn with her blood. Her hair was pulled. She was helpless. So at that point in time, she doesn't know how to get this resolved. That is when there is a beautiful statement. She remembers Vasishtha Vakyam. This is a very important Vakyam in Sri Mahabharatam. Stri Dharmini Nyatam Maya Vasishtena Pura Geetam Mahatmana. That time she remembers Vasishtha's Vakyam. Mahatyapi samprapte smartavyo bhagavan harihi. Vasishtha has said, in your life when you have found nobody helping you, think of Hari. Some help will come to you in some form or the other. Think of him. That is when she closes her eyes and she thinks of Bhagavan and she says, Hey Bhagavan, Dhyeyas sada savitrimandala madhyavarti Narayana sarasijasana sannivishtaha Keyuravan makarakundalavan kiriti hari Hiranmaya vapuhu. The Shastras say that you stay within the sun as the Madhyavarti. Shastras say that from head to toe you are effulgent and radiant as molten gold. Shastras say that you have beard and moustache and hair that are radiant as gold. Your eyes represent the lotus, it seems. Dhyeyas sada savitrimandala madhyavarti Narayana sarasijasara sannivishtaha Keyuravan makarakundalavan kiriti hari Hiranmaya vapuhu. Hey Bhagavan, you keep holding your Shankham Chakram Gada. Aren't these weapons to protect devotees like us? When an elephant out of sheer pain, excruciating pain, was crying for your help, didn't you reach that Tatakam Pushkarini to help that Gajendra? When that Gajendra called, you took that chakram. When this Draupadi calls, where has that chakram gone? Is that chakram a bangle to you? Is that an ornament to you, or is it an astram? Shankha Chakra Gada Pane. Later when the Yuddham happens, you may be lifting the Panchajanyam and blowing the conch, declaring the opening of the war. When that conch is being held and being blown, at that point in time you show your valor. Isn't that conch a declaration of war even now? Why can't you use that conch when that Gada was able to vanquish Madhukaitava in the causal waters when they had taken the Vedas away from Brahma? Isn't that Gada coming to my rescue when I ask for help? Shankha Chakra Gada Pane. Hey Bhagavan, where are you staying? Asks the Shastras. Yeshanarayana Shriman Kshirarnavaniketanaha Nagaparyankamutsrujya Hyagato Madurampurim. You came to Mathura and then to Dwaraka. In Dwaraka, you are the ruler protecting your subjects. Shouldn't you treat me also as your subject and protect me? They say, Dwaraka Nilaya, you are now staying in Dwaraka. Dwaraka may be miles away, but is your thought so away from me that you do not know the distress that I am undergoing? Dwaraka Nilaya. People called Chuti as the one who abandons or is fallen. You are called Achyuta, the one who never abandons. When Rukmini wrote a love letter to you, Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shrinvatante Nirvishya Karana Vivaraihi Haratonga Tapam Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akhilartha Labham Twai Achyuta. She called you Achyuta. Aren't you called the one Achyuta who doesn't betray and abandon his devotees? Am I not one in that great list of Paramabhagavata Mauni Varasa Shivibhakara Sanaka Sanandana Disha Surakim Purusha Kanaka Kashipusutanara Tumburu Pavana Sunu Bala Chandra Dhara Shuka Saroja Babu Suravarulu Parama Pavanulu Ghanulu Shashvatulu Kamala Bhava Sukhamusadanu Baba Mugaka Yandaro Mahanubhavulu. Am I not a part of those devotee lists? Shouldn't you come and protect me? Dwaraka Nilayachuta. Because you protect the bovine and the cattle race, the cows and the calves, Gavam Indraha Govindaha, Jnanena Hinaha, Pashubhis Samanaha, I am bereft of knowledge. Treat me also as a cow and come and protect me. Dwaraka Nilayachuta Govinda. Shastras say that you have eyes that are filled with compassion, that are akin to the petals of a newly blossomed lotus. Dwaraka Nilayachuta Govinda Pundarikaksha. He Bhagavan Apranaghat Sarvayeva Suvarnaha Hiranya Smashruhu Hiranya Keshaha Kapyasam Pundarikam Makshini, says Chandogya Upanishad. He Bhagavan, who has the eyes that are akin to the petals of a newly blossomed lotus. Dwaraka Nilayachyuta Govinda Dheyasada Savitrimandala Madhyavarti Narayana Sarasijasana Sannivishtaha Keyuravan Makarakundalavan Kiriti Hari Hiranmaya Vapuhu Dhritashanka Chakraha Sri Dwaraka Nilayachyuta Govinda Pundarikaksha. This lady who has no other asylum, no other refuge, when people have abandoned me, there is no course of support for me. Dwaraka Nilayachyuta Govinda Pundarikaksha Rakshamam Sharanagatam. I put my hands above Krishna. I do not have the valor and the prowess to defend myself with this one piece of cloth. If at all you want to help me, come and help me now. When she cried, and she put her hands above as Sharanagati of Draupadi, with all the Ankas of Sharanagati, Krishna, who was waging a war in Dwaraka, was reminded of this call. Immediately, Tirumangayalvar, one of the mystic saints in the great Sri Vaishnava tradition, asks, where did Bhagavan get that piece of cloth from? You know what he says? He says, the wives of the 100 Kauravas, Kaurava Patni, all the Patnis, they were having Mangalya Sutra made of threads on their neck. Bhagavan thought they don't need this anymore, took the threads from their Mangalya Sutra, wove a sari and sent it all the way as a sign of his compassion that is unadulterated and that always keeps coming, that doesn't need a replenish at all, as it is perennial and torrential in its flow. As the cloth was being taken, something that is wondrous that is described in Mahabharatam is another piece of cloth came. People were amazed in that sabha. How can Eka Vastram, one piece, you just undraper, it has to come out. But as it was being taken, another piece of cloth came. It became heaps of cloths. Dushyasana lost the power. He was tired. He fell. That is when Draupadi said, you pulled me by my hair. I will not bundle this hair up until it is drenched in the blood of this Dushyasana. This is my shapatham for the day. That is when Bhima rises. He says, don't worry, I will do that for you. This Dushyasana will be killed. All the 100 sons born of Gandhari will be killed by me. Arjuna rises. He says, this Karna who gave this idea will die of me. Nakula and this gambling arena became a land of vendetta. The king, when he is not a good administrator, this is what happens. Anarchy, arajakam. So people started giving curses and counter curses. They said, I will ensure that this man's thigh is broken, because Duryodhana had patted on his thigh and said, come and sit on my lap. This thigh will dance. Bhagnorudandam. Gandhari comes running. She says, what have you committed, Dhritarashtra? This entire kulam will be killed. Please give her Rajyam back. And he gives the entire Rajyam back. All 5 of them have been released from slavery. Nothing happened. That's all. They were given back. Draupadi takes the Pandavas to her Anthapuram and says, I will not step into that Indraprastha now. Because he has just thrown that as arms for us. I don't want the bhiksha from your uncle. Let us now play the dice game again. Second time they play. They lose. The rule was, if whoever has lost, 12 years vanavasam 1 year Ajnatavasam, incognito. Let us accept it. Let us get all the energy sources back. Let us come back and vanquish them in the war. Till then, this Draupadi will not bundle her hair. As you, 5 of you keep looking at my hair, you should have the energy and motivation to fight. Then they went to the forest. Krishna comes later in Vanaparva. She cries to Krishna. Krishna, you were not there. Your grace was there. But see how my life is. See, 1000 years back, one of the acharyas was asked by his student, when she has not 1, 5 husbands there, shouldn't she have called her husband's name first? When she was being pulled, Yudhishthir, she should have called. Bhim, she should have called. She didn't call any of these names. She said Krishna. The commentator asks why. Panthayil Bhartavai Pidithu Kondu Uruval Nadandal Kallidarinal Amme Yennuma Pole. I'm just reading out the line 1000 years back. The husband and wife walk together in a garden, and a piece of stone hits the lady's foot. She feels the pain. What will she call? Amma, she'll call. Husband's name is Suresh. Suresh! She won't call. Because Suresh is pain giving, not pain taking. So what is the use of calling Suresh? She will call only Amma. Amma is about 100 kilometers away. Which name will give solace? That only you will take. Though she had 5 husbands, the one whom she thought as her mother and father was Krishna. So she took Krishna's name. Krishna, come and help me. You know, Krishna was so overwhelmed with Draupadi's Sharanagati. He did not know how to answer this. This comes in Mahabharatam. Remember this. When Krishna Avataram is close to completion, I'll tell you 2 stages. 1. In Mahabharata Yuddham, first day, all this long Arjuna has been saying, I will fight. When the Yuddham comes, he says, no, they are all A positive blood group. என் உடம்பில் ஓடும் ரத்தமும் அவர்கள் உடம்பில் ஓடும் ரத்தமும் ஒன்றல்லவா நான் எப்படி எங்கனே சண்டை இடுவது அப்படிலாம் கேட்டார். So that is when Krishna said, so didn't you know they were your relatives all these days? Coming to a battlefield and then becoming a non-violent, a Gandhi and a preacher is not right. So Krishna had to immediately say, fight, that's your duty. You know what Krishna does? He starts telling Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, 700 verses, 18 chapters. Arjuna forgot what question he asked. What did I ask and what is he answering? See, you know what Bhagavad Gita is? Sarvopanishado Gavaha. It is the essence of Upanishads. Krishna gave that essence, that priceless Kohinoor called Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on a battlefield. Then, you know, the commentator to Thiruvaimozhi says, Nakai Madittan. Krishna did. Why? Because this was not to be revealed. But he revealed. Why? Because in his mind, Draupadi was filled. Her cry was filled. He did not know how to compensate for her bhakti. So what all he had, he gave. Towards the end of this avataram, when Uddhava, Gishpati Putra, comes to Krishna and says, Krishna, I know for sure that you are Narayana. Your Shankachakra Gadapani Narayana. Is your objective of taking Krishna avataram done? Krishna says, yeah, but what is that but, Krishna? Uddhava, in that middle of that sabha when nobody helped her, what confidence she had that I will come and help. For that confidence when she called Govinda, Krishna, come and help me. For that confidence and that bhakti she had in me, I feel I have not done enough. Rinam pravriddham, Bharata shlokam, Rinam pravriddham, he says, Uddhava, I'm carrying this burden with me, debt with me. I have not done enough for Draupadi. Poor lady, she trusted me so much. I made her wait for those 2 seconds. I shouldn't have. Rinam pravriddham me. What bhakti this Draupadi had. So even when Krishna was departing from this material world, his mind was on Draupadi. Imagine if in Bhagavad Manas, Draupadi has filled, what a character she must have been. Her life was full of turmoils.
See, towards the end of Bharata Yuddham, you must know, Ashwathama killed all her 5 sons. She didn't have a life of her own. She was kidnapped by Jayadratha, humiliated by Dushasana. Sons killed by Ashwathama. But one thing that made her hold her ground was Krishna Bhakti. You know, the beauty is, all our acharyas have equated Draupadi that way. You must have heard of Surdas. He was a blind poet. गज को जब ग्राह ग्रस्यो दुशासन चीर खस्यो सभा बीच कृष्ण कृष्ण द्रौपदी पुकारी इतने में हरिया गए बसनन आरूढ़ भये सूरदास द्वारे ठाड़ो आंधरो भिखारी दीनन दुख हरन देव संतब हितकारी. Surdas says, Meera, हरे तुम्हारो जन की भीड़ द्रौपदी की लाज राखी तुम बढ़ावो चीर हरि तुम्हारो जन. Tyagaraja, 250 years back, he was a Telugu poet but lived in Tamil Nadu. He was born in Tiruvarur, grew up in a kshetram called Tiruvayyaru, Panchanadi Kshetram. Please learn classical music. See, I'll tell you, if you are Telugu speaking, if you are Telugu knowing, you are the gifted person, because most of the kritis are in Telugu. Bhadrachala Ramadas, Annamayya, Tyagaraja, Kshetrayya, left, right, everybody, Shama Shastri, everything in Telugu. Irony is, songs are in Telugu, singers are Tamilians. See, if you all know Telugu, you will relish your kritis better. అనగనగా ఆకాశం ఉంది, ఆకాశంలో మేఘం ఉంది, మేఘం వెనగా రాగం ఉంది, రాగం దిన్నము కరిగించింది, కరిగేనింగే చునికేయింది, చునికే చునపడ పాటయింది. అది కావాలి, అది సాహిత్యం. అది మోక్ష సాహిత్యం కాదు, ఇది మోక్ష సాహిత్యం. You're all blessed. What great poets this land has produced. So, Tyagaraja says from Tamil Nadu, Tyagaraja says, Rama, I've been calling you to protect me. That day, aanadu, didn't you go and protect Draupadi? When she wanted your intervention, didn't you go and give her the sari in the Sabha Mantapam? Krishna, when Bhadrachala Ramadas, Tyagaraja quotes 250 years back, when Bhadrachala Ramadas was imprisoned in the Golconda fort by Tana Shah after writing Dasharathi Shatakamu, you know, Karuna Payonidhi, 100 verses he writes. Rama doesn't come. He gets angry at Rama. He says, you're sporting one great necklace. Did your father-in-law give? Chintyaka padaka morama chandrani ni mama ajanaka maharaju pampena Rama. Did your father-in-law give? I gave. Release me. But Rama doesn't act. That is when he realizes it's better to go through Sita. Nanu brova mani chapu nari shiromani janakuni kutura janani janakamma nanu brova mani chapave Sitamma talli nanu brova mani chapave. He pleads. Then finally Rama and Lakshmana come, release him from jail. So Tyagaraja knew this. Imagine when there was no WhatsApp 250 years, how news spread. He says, Rama, you released Bhadrachala Ramadas from the prison. You gave sari to Draupadi. Why can't you give emancipation to me? Nari mani ki chiralicchinadi nadene vinnanura rama dhirudau Ramadasuni bandhamu ತೀರ್ಚಿನದಿ ವಿನ್ನನುರ ರಮ ನೀರಜಕ್ಷಿಕೈ ನೀರಧಿ ದಾಟಿನ ನೀ ಕೀರ್ತಿ ನೀ ವಿನ್ನನುರ ರಮ ತಾರಕ ನಾಮ ತ್ಯಾಗರಾಜನುತ ದಯತೋ ನೇಲು ಕೋರ ರಮ ಕ್ಷೀರ ಸಾಗರ ಶಯನ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ತ್ಯಾಗರಾಜ pleads. When you learn Shastriya Sangeetam, see, we have one big treasure. Tyagaraja, Dikshitar, Shama Shastri, what kritis, what knowledge they had. Today, if you are against dharma and if you are against music, you are given award. The beauty is, if you have Tyagaraja Bhakti, no award. Criteria to get a title or an award is no Tyagaraja. You should abuse Tyagaraja, you will get an award next day. We have reached that state now, imagine. So, be it any Acharya, Purandaradasa, Kanakadasa, Tyagaraja, Surdas, Mirabai, all of them have wondered at Draupadi. And why shouldn't we? So we had this opportunity to, marvel at Draupadi. I have recently authored a very detailed book on Ramayanam in English. It contains the entire Balakandam, entire Ayodhya Kandam, and one part of Uttarakandam. So 2.5 kandams it contains. Volume 2 will come in 1.5 years. It will have Aranya, Kishkinda, Sundara, Yuddha and Baki. So this 2.5 kandams, 93,000 words, 108 chapters in simple English. I've illustrated using Keshav, the great famed artist, as well as we have done some black and white sketches of real architectural pieces. So you will be wondering, when Valmiki gives Upadesham to Brahma in Ramayanam, this depiction is found in the 9th century temple of Cambodia. There they have depicted this. So wherever incidents related to Ramayanam is found in different coins, temples, inscriptions in this world, we have drawn all of that in the book. It's a very well researched book by HarperCollins. It is titled Ramayanam Volume 1 in English, and that is being made available outside. I would urge all of you, if your grandmothers buy it for yourself, grandfathers buy it for yourself and for your grandchildren. This is the biggest gift. This dress, today you put them, they will outgrow in 2 months, you have to throw it away. Ramayanam will stay, even if you are not there, I am not there, you are dead, I am dead. Ramayanam will last. So this will last for generations. You read it first. See, parents, grandparents should first equip themselves. Read. Jnanam is the biggest treasure we have. We should keep on thinking. We are the land of thinkers. Think, read, listen. Think, read, listen. Keep on listening. When you're working out on the gym, you're going to a walk, listen. You have now gadgets. Listen. In a day, you should at least listen for at least 2 hours. You're traveling for work. I know Hyderabad is also having so much traffic, long routes. Listen and go. Don't waste that time. That time will never come. The 2 hours when you're cooking, listen. When you're driving, listen. When suppose you have some free time of your work, you're just taking a half an hour walk in your office premises, listen. Listening, only when you listen, you will be made to think. We are the land of thinkers. Otherwise our brain will get rusted. Think. Keep on thinking. When you go to a temple, remember, this is Chola architecture, how beautiful it is. That day I heard in that lecture this. relate to that. We are the land of knowledge. Jnanam. This bhumi is full of jnanam. We had such great acharyas. What have we become now? We have to read. Never leave a book. Book is the biggest source of knowledge. For me, right from my childhood, nothing interested me. If I would see, I would go to a library. Books are your biggest source of knowledge. Have them. Always keep reading. Motivate your children. When you read, you become knowledgeable. When you become knowledgeable, this jealousy, fight, argument, all that will become secondary. You will never become that bittery person. You won't like all that. You will be always thinking, and you will be in your own world of those characters. That is how we should be. That is our country. That is our Bharatam. Today we are all hooked. I'm not against social media. I use social media. I'm not against TV. I appear on TV. But there is a purpose. Do it for a purpose. Learn something. Today you have learned from Draupadi. Go home. Put 5 takeaway points. Type it on WhatsApp. Send it to 10 people. This is what I learned in today's lecture. This is how Dharma Pravartakam can happen. We are not a religion of converters. We don't say, I pay you, come to this religion. No, we don't have that money first of all. We are a religion that believes Jnanam alone can retain people. We don't have ayudhams. If you don't come, cut. No. We don't have ayudham. We don't have money. We should become dharma pracharakas. Each of us. Today I learned 5 points. Simple points you put. I didn't know these. Today I learned these 5 points. Send it to 10 people. They will read. Out of 10 people, at least 2 of them, will we have such bad relatives? 2 of them at least will read. 2 of them will know what you have listened. This is how Jnanam is passed. This is how. We don't want to abuse or badmouth any community, any religion. First, let's understand our religion first. Before badmouthing anybody else, first we don't know our own religion. See, we are still in that stage. If I tell my organizer generally, they will ask, here I'm doing one lecture. If I go abroad 7 days, 5 days, if I tell Mahabharatam, they say, sir, Bharatam ante yuddham kada, sir. What will I do? Now there is a big misconception. If you read Mahabharatam, there will be fight in the house. As if we don't know how to fight. Do we need Mahabharatam to teach us how to fight? We will teach Mahabharatam how to fight. We are no ordinary people. We know our pros and cons. We are not as innocent the way we project ourselves to be. Okay. So, get this misconception out. Mahabharatam is Panchamo Vedaha. It is the 5th Vedam. When people again and again they'll call Ramayanam Chappandi said, why in Ramayanam also there's Yuddha Kandam. What will we do with that? So, get rid of all these superstitions. Mahabharatam is a treasure. Ramayanam is a treasure. Your knowledge should be strong. Then your children and grandchildren will truly respect you. They will know, hey, my grandmother is so intelligent, she answers. We ourselves are weak, we don't know anything. Then what motivation will we be for our children? They'll say, do you know? And Teliledu Babu. Then don't ask me to learn. That's what they say. So you learn first. Age is no impediment. Any age, pick up the book, read. It will come. Sir, English, see, we say, sir, some of them said, sir, English and take problem undi, sir. See, that also they said English word, problem. As if we are all nannayas in Telugu. See, Telugu is also weak. So, try. English is no big game. 26 letters. And that too, we have rules. You can pronounce it anyway. Schedule, route, route, saloon, salon. That English gives you that flexibility. Louis, Louis. Volkswagen. Audi and Audi. Hyundai and Hyundai. Porsche and Porsche. We have all these things, right? Whatever answer, that's why Victoria said, whatever you pronounce, we'll give you marks. So don't worry. Buy my Mahabharatam, buy it for your friends. That will be the biggest gift. Trust me, truly, because it has been written with due diligence and research. It's like a novel. It is not some research work. You read, your children will understand, you will understand. With this, I come to the conclusion of this lecture, which was a few minutes lesser than Bahubali 2. Nothing attractive on the stage
Accept the content of great acharyas. You have all taken the pain to spend your flowery and such precious time on a Sunday evening in this august premises. Thanks to Bharati Vidya Bhavan, as usual. I've been here in 2012 to address an auditorium full of children from class 7 to 12. And is it over? What's next was the topic in 2012. Sri Krishnan had called me to speak here, and I spoke. The beauty is, a week back I was giving lectures in Alsur in Bangalore. I'm from Bangalore. I don't know how many of you are from Bangalore. Bangalore yaro illi. Idare nodi. So in Bangalore I was giving 2 days of lectures. One boy came towards the end and said, "Sir, can I have a selfie?" I said, "Sure." I took a selfie. He said, "Sir, I was the boy who was seated in Bharati Vidya Bhavan that time as a student, listening to the lecture in 2012. Now I work in Bangalore." So, I don't know whether I have grown old or he is grown, but this premises has been very close to my heart. Bharati Vidya Bhavan, Chennai, I've given like hundreds of lectures, Bangalore, many lectures, Hyderabad now. So, a very close place to my heart. Rajaji's Ramayanam was first published by BBB. Munshiji took that. So, it was a great thing. Now, so I have lectures coming up in other places. So either they will be in English or in Tamil, which is my mother tongue. So if you have relatives and friends in other places, you can see my schedule. Where do you see? One is LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, which is called X handle now, or YouTube community pages. These are the 5 options. Pancha Samskara. In one of the places, you can see my schedule for the next month, September. And if you have relatives in those places, inform them. Try him out. He's not, after all, that bad. So they wouldn't feel as if they were guinea pigs sitting for an experiment as placebos. So ask them to come around. If it's in Tamil knowing people. If they don't know Tamil also, my Tamil is understandable. So it's a medley, a potpourri of many languages. So it's an ericheri kolambu, Keralathla solva ericheri nutto. And mari irukum. So they can feel free. I'll be traveling to the US again in March and then in May. All English lectures. If you have a kith and kin who say fast and masters, please do ask them to attend to my lectures. It wouldn't have an overtinge of the regional flavor. So that said, thank you once again for your patience and kudos to your bhakti for the dharma that you made me sit. Thanks to Aradhana Talks. They have arranged my lecture. As usual, I told you, I'm very close to Sridhar Subhashri. I've always spoken in Keys High School to a Tamil crowd. So this time I told my organizer, no, I want to break away and come to the other section of crowd who may not understand Tamil but may understand English. I have to reach out to a younger population as well. So it was a very amateur experiment that we took up in Hyderabad in Bharati Vidya Bhavan for an English lecture. Hopefully we should have many youngsters. Of course, older people I'm extremely indebted, but we should have office goers, young parents. They should all sit and they should all listen. They should know, first of all, you should be proud about your heritage. Say, I agree, we have bad roads, we have polluted air, we have to get it corrected, fine. But we have a heritage. You know, when most nations were wondering whether to cover their private parts or not, here Aryabhatta was writing mathematical formulas. We have a very old heritage. And how will we even relish it if we not know of it or not hear of it? We should feel proud to belong to the country. Yes, we need to correct our roads. Our traffic rules are bad. Bad drivers everywhere, left and right. Now when I go back, I will know. So we have bad drivers, no doubt. But we have something to be proud about. Architecture, what Kakatiya architecture, Ramappa temple, what a masterpiece it is. We should go, we should know. Of course, make time to see Never Have I Ever, all the 4 seasons. There's a Devi Vishwakumar there. There's nothing wrong in watching Made in Heaven, both the seasons. There's absolutely nothing wrong in waiting for the 3rd season of Family Man. There's absolutely nothing wrong to understand if clothes were this very orchestrated in Hiramandi of Lahore. Everything is of course great, but make some time for our scriptures as well. Nobody says become completely a traditionalist, relinquishing all your modern comforts. Make a judicious combination of everything. You can bring the best of all, or probably both the worlds. We are capable of that. So that's the message for the day.